All right. What is going on, everyone? Happy Tuesday. So we're recording now. Hope you guys are having a great day and week so far. Today is January 13th. So we're almost halfway through January, which is wild. Like I was talking to my wife yesterday about how we're almost 50% of the way through January and I feel like it just started. Now I know some of that was probably from, the trip that we got done taking and we didn't get back until like the third or fourth, I believe, but still like, it's just crazy that January is almost halfway over with. And then February is going to be here. February, a little bit of a shorter month, and then March, and then spring, and then summer, all that stuff. So, if you have weight loss and fitness goals, fat loss goals, especially if you want to feel better in your own skin come the summer, wearing warmer clothes, now is definitely the time to get started with that. But I want to adjust this a little bit too. All right, there should be good. Wanted to come on here and talk to you guys because I mentioned last week that I really want to start going live in here pretty consistently twice per week. Hopefully, we'll kind of see how that goes and recording podcasts a couple of times a week because I like coming on here and talking to you guys and just sharing my thoughts of just thoughts that pop up in my head as I'm working with certain clients or even my own fitness and fat loss journey. And to be honest, today, I just really like right now, getting live on here and talking is one of the last things I want to do. And I say that not to be like, oh, I don't want to talk to you guys and I don't want to, share this and share value and everything. That's not what I mean. But, after a couple of days of client check-in videos, going through all of the struggles that clients are having, potentially, and just even the emotional highs of all the wins that clients are having. Sometimes, it can feel a little bit draining at the very end of the day, to where, sometimes I don't want to come on here and record like a podcast, to be honest. And this is just me sharing my real, raw thoughts, right? That's kind of what I want, these lives to be, and just very real, authentic. So right now, I'm tired. It's the end of the workday, about 4:30, getting close to, when my wife and kids will get home, probably in about like an hour or so. And, I want to be done for the day, but I made a commitment to coming, showing up in the Facebook group and going live. And I'm gonna commit to that. And I was starting to think about this discomfort that I was having right now with everything and how similar this is to the discomfort that a lot of you feel when you embark on a fitness or fat loss journey where you want to start exercising regularly. Maybe you commit to 3 workouts a week and, it's your second workout of the week and you're tired. You've had a long day at work. You had a lot of stressful things going on with maybe kids, family, whatever it is, doctor's appointments. And you're thinking, man, if I could just skip this workout and I'll just do this tomorrow, right? And I had thoughts of skipping this live, skipping this video, skipping this podcast, and just be like, hey, I'll just go live tomorrow on Wednesday when I potentially have more energy or I feel like I have more time or I feel more inspired, right? Or maybe you are like trying to aim for a certain step goal, maybe 8,000 steps, 10,000 steps to help you to lose weight. And you could be thinking the same thing of, okay, I'm tired. Now I have this to do. I could be doing laundry or I could be doing the dishes or this or that. Let me just push this walk off and be like, I'll be okay and settle for being short on my steps today. And I will just make sure I hit them tomorrow. And then lo and behold, tomorrow comes and something else pops up and you're tired again, or something else pops up that takes up more of your time, then all of a sudden now you missed your Wednesday workout that was supposed to be on Tuesday, but you pushed it back and now you missed it on Wednesday. And then you got to push it back to Thursday. And now you're 2 days behind on workouts. And now you're maybe supposed to have done a different workout on Thursday. So now your Thursday workout's getting pushed back to Friday, but you have something else going on Friday. Maybe you're going out of town and all these things get pushed back, and then you end up just backloading all these responsibilities or all these boxes you wanted to check off to the end of the week. And now you're like, well, now I have 3 workouts to make up in just a 2-day time period on Saturday and Sunday. That's not going to happen. So let me just restart fresh, on Monday. I guarantee you have gone through that scenario multiple times within your journey and experience if you're somebody who has struggled with weight loss or fat loss or getting in shape the way you want. And these are the same thoughts that even with these behaviors, these habits of me wanting to show up consistently and record 2 podcasts a week and share my thoughts or come on here and hopefully share some insight or wisdom, with you guys for your journeys in the Facebook group. Like these are all things that I have gone through multiple times too. But this is me sitting here recording this, just simply showing up. And I want to encourage you all that if you are struggling mentally, physically, with sticking to the things that you know you need to do to progress and to move forward, or commitments you've made to yourself, especially in the new year. Just show up. And it's okay if it's not the most perfect workout in the entire world, or maybe you do a 10-minute walk instead of your planned 30-minute walk because you're just so fatigued or have low energy or you're tired or you don't have time, right? Like this live that I'm doing right now, this is not the most planned out Facebook Live or podcast, whatever you want to call it. I have no bullet point list of talking points. Last week I did the dietary guidelines one where things were more organized and I had bullet point lists of things I want to talk about. For here, no list, no outline, me just coming on here talking. It's not perfect. You might not even like this one, and half of you might even stop watching or listening halfway through because you're like, oh, Joey's just rambling and this isn't even, helpful for me at all. And if that's the case, like, that's okay. But this is me showing up tired. This is me showing up stressed about other things I could be doing. This is me showing up anxious. This is me showing up not inspired really today. Or like, I was earlier today, but just as the day went on, I'm like, I'm just kind of done. I want to like move on and start getting ready, to cook dinner and all this kind of stuff. But I'm committing to it. And there's a lot of power in that, in just showing up, even if you're showing up at 50%, 60% doing the thing. And there's a lot of power for a couple of reasons. One is that every action you take is a vote for the person that you want to become or the person that you will become, whether it's you want to or not. Maybe you are making decisions or taking action on things and you're taking the wrong actions. And over time, that will lead to you becoming a person that maybe you don't want to be. So when you show up for that workout or show up for tracking your food or for that walk or workout, whatever it is, when you don't want to, you are placing little votes inside of your subconscious, telling yourself, okay, I am somebody who works out 3 times a week, 4 times a week, whatever it might be. I am somebody who walks this many times a week. I'm somebody who, tracks my food. You're placing these little votes, these little tokens of who you are going to become. And over time, that will make a big difference. Also, another big powerful thing regarding this is just the power of habit and getting into a routine of, okay, like Monday, Tuesday, and Friday, those are my workout days. And no matter what goes on, I could have the shittiest day, I could have the most stressful day, the busiest day, but I'm going to show up and work out on Monday, Tuesday, and Friday. Even if some of those workouts, maybe I'm not able to push myself as hard as, I did before. Or maybe some of those workouts, I'm only completing half of the exercises versus the whole entire thing. But I'm still showing up because Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, or Monday, Tuesday, Friday, I go to the gym or I go down in my basement and work out. Even if those workouts aren't the greatest, or if maybe they're shortened a little bit, I'm still going to show up and do that. And that helps you to just really get into a routine. I've talked about this before and use this analogy like brushing your teeth. Some days you're, in the morning, you have plenty of time to brush your teeth for a full, whatever, however many seconds, it was always recommended growing up. But there are probably some times where you're in a hurry and you're just shoving that toothbrush in your mouth, just doing it really quickly and getting it done and over with. But you're still showing up and doing it. And some of those workouts, some of those walks, some of even the food logging is going to feel that way. But the more you do that, the more you make that baseline habit or baseline action a habit. And then from there, it's just about improving on that as far as, the intensity of your workout or improving on that as far as the quality of your steps, or I should say duration, of that walk, or improving in, the accuracy of your food tracking if you're going that route. So that's another really powerful thing, is it just instills that habit of like, okay, these days I show up, right? Tuesdays and Thursdays, I'm going live in my Facebook group. Even if I feel like I don't have anything to talk about, I'm going to come in here. I'm going to do it because I'm committing to it. It's something I want to implement into our routine. There might be a time that comes where I decide, okay, like going live twice a week in here is something I don't want to commit to. And then I change that commitment. But that's not me giving up. That is me just changing the commitment. But if you are committing to 3 workouts a week, show up for those 3 workouts, even if some of them are shorter and they're not your best workouts possible. Just like this isn't my probably best podcast or video that I've ever done. And there's another power to this too. The third one, I guess, is you start to break through this threshold of what you think is possible for you to do, basically. And I've used this analogy before a lot, where like when I was going to like in school before becoming an RD, registered dietitian, and my career and all this stuff, like in middle school, Teachers would always tell us about how hard high school was going to be. And it was always really nerve wracking thinking about that of like, okay, like there's going to be stricter deadlines. The assignments are going to be harder. Oh, you're going to have to write a 5 page paper instead of a 1 page paper. And I remember in middle school thinking, oh, how am I going to be able to do that? Like I've only written 1 page papers or 2 page papers up to this point. How am I going to write for 5 pages? Like that seems impossible. But then you get to high school and you end up finding a way to do it. You find a way to meet those deadlines, raise your standards. And the same thing happens, if you're somebody who ends up going to college. Like you hear all these stories of, okay, your professors aren't going to chase you down. You got to follow the deadlines or it's a zero and this and that. The exams are harder. Sometimes you'll get an exam that's literally just like two questions and it's just like full on papers you have to write for those questions or for those answers. And just like the standard is higher. And, in high school, it was always, kind of nerve wracking thinking about like, am I going to be able to do that? Or you could even think about this in terms of responsibilities too. Like I think back to like freshman year of college, sophomore year of college, basically undergrad, and think how much free time I actually really had. Like I was working part time. I was working like 20 hours a week, sometimes 30 if I was able to pick up extra hours. But like I was working part time essentially. And like my classes were maybe, 3 to 5 hours a day at most. So I had a lot of free time, but I didn't feel like I did. And, obviously I didn't have kids in college. I wasn't married, but, Brittany and I were dating then. Uh, but just far less responsibilities overall in college versus now, and so much more free time. But I didn't feel like I had free time. And if you were to have told me um, back when I was in college freshman year that, hey, like you're going to be working this many hours in a day with your own business. You're going to be also spending time getting the kids up, making sure they eat breakfast, getting them dressed, changing their diapers, getting their clothes on, driving them to daycare. And then later on in the evening, you're going to be cooking dinner. You're going to be doing this and that. And all among all of the other like family and social events, I would be like, how in the world am I going to manage that with the time I have? Like, there's just no time for that, but you find a way. And like, you probably feel the same way if you're listening to this, especially if you have kids. Like, you have your first kid, and you're like, how in the world are we going to find time to like manage 2 kids? And then you end up having a third kid, and you're like, how in the world am I going to have time to manage 3 kids? And then you end up having four, but you somehow find a way. And the same thing goes with this. Like, if you are struggling to commit to 3 workouts a week and complete them, you just have to like really push through, because there's this like glass ceiling, or I don't even know if that's the right phrase or terminology for it, but there's this like threshold above you, this like ceiling that it's not a hard ceiling, but it's pretty sturdy, but you're able to break through. The way you break through it is consistently just pushing that boundary and pushing that like low level of what you've committed to in the past. Before, maybe you've always defaulted to, when life gets hard, I'm just going to not do my workouts. Well, if you truly commit to, even when life gets hard, sticking with those 3 workouts a week, now that becomes your new like floor. That becomes your new low level baseline of, no matter what, I'm sticking to 3 workouts. And then maybe on good weeks, maybe, you can even get 4 workouts or like an extra walk on top of the 3 workouts you're doing. And then now that becomes your new standard. Like right now, my standard of life is juggling, 2 kids with a business, with being a husband, managing all that, and cooking and all of this stuff. And there might be another responsibility that gets added to my plate down the road too, that I will find a way to manage, and that will become my new baseline. So me recording, 2 lives a week, or you getting the 3 workouts in a week, or going for your daily walks that you had planned, in the beginning, there's going to be a lot of friction. There's going to be a lot of resistance, because you haven't established that new low level baseline of habits yet. And it's going to feel hard, and it's going to feel uncomfortable. There are going to be more days and moments where you probably don't feel like doing it, because you're trying to like burst through this ceiling on top of you that's trying to keep you stuck where you currently are. But it's so important that you just keep showing up, keep trying to punch through that ceiling as much as you can. And eventually you'll create a hole, you'll create a gap that then you can climb out of and move to that next level and start seeing really the progress that you want, as that consistency stacks up. Because eventually what's going to happen, if I continue to stick with these two lives a week, is it will likely get easier. It likely will not feel this hard to come up with topics to come on here and talk about. I'll get into more of a routine of, "Oh, these are the times of the day that are good for me to go live because I'm feeling really creative and talkative. And here are the times of the day, maybe later in the afternoon, like right now, where I do feel a little bit more drained and it's not the best time." And I'll learn those things, and you'll learn those things about your walks and your workouts and logging your food. But if you keep resorting to giving yourself a pass and almost giving yourself too much grace and deciding not to do the thing that you committed to, you're not going to break through that ceiling that is doable to break through. You're not going to create this new baseline level of consistency or habits for yourself. And you're not going to learn what you need to learn as far as what are good times to do this or bad times to do this and how to optimize things for your life and your schedule so you can maintain it long term. So you just have to keep showing up and keep committing to doing the thing, even when you're tired, even when you don't feel like it, even when you're uninspired, even if what you're doing feels like 60% of what you could possibly do, it's still worth doing. Obviously, there are times and places where you need to give yourself grace where, hey, like I went on vacation a couple weeks ago, probably not going to go live while on vacation. I could, but maybe not. And that's a time to give yourself grace. But if it's just the normal thick of life and the normal life challenges that come into play, and it's not like a vacation mode thing or a big celebratory thing that's, a once in a lifetime type opportunity, keep following through and keep doing the things that you committed to doing because I guarantee it will change the person that you become months from now or years from now. So hopefully you guys enjoyed this live and hopefully it was insightful and hopefully, inspired at least one of you to show up and do your workout maybe tonight or this afternoon or tomorrow morning when you don't feel like it. So that is it for this one. And obviously, if you're interested in one-on-one coaching, send me a DM. Let's talk. Would love to get you started before client roster spots fill up. And I will see you guys in the next one.